eyeballing me?
Hello and welcome to Fallout Vault, a sometimes weekly series every Sunday in which we take a look at the world of Fallout, specifically the vaults. In the run up to Fallout 4, I'll be going through all the vaults, explaining the sinister vault experiments, how they developed and their purposes. If you guys like the series, then be sure to let me know and I might branch out to other aspects of the Wasteland history. This week's episode we're going to take a look into Vault 19. Vault 19 is located between Bonnie Springs and Whitaker Farmstead in the Mojave Wasteland, deep underground. However, it can be accessed via a tunnel in an old abandoned car park above ground. Vault 19 is an interesting story, but before we get into its past, it has a tumultuous present. In Fallout New Vegas, which is set in 2281, 204 years after the Great War, Vault 19 is inhabited by a group of ex-convicts led by a man named Samuel Cook. Cook was the founder and former leader of the Powder Gangers. However, he was caught and imprisoned by the New California Republic, or NCR, in the NCR Correctional Facility and branded a terrorist. It didn't take long for Cook to gather support within the facility and lead a successful uprising against it. Now in control of the facility, Cook headed north to the location of Vault 19, where he took up residence and planned to use the sulfur deposits in the vault to create small-scale explosives to fight the NCR. It's a pretty interesting story in itself. Cook is a revolutionary figurehead, believing that the NCR abused their power to impede the freedom of others. He is just in charge of a gang of criminals though, which leads me to draw a parallel between his story and the story of Spartacus. Philip Lem is another member of Cook's Vault 19 crew, though Lem has a growing disdain for Cook and wants to surrender because they're running low on supplies, creating a division in the vault. It's up to the courier to decide what happens next for the men inside. And because this is a lore series, we can't definitively say what happens, so I'll move on to what happened before the Powder Gangers arrived. From a quick walk around, the most notable difference in Vault 19 to the other ones so far covered is the fact that the vault is powered. Though abandoned by its original inhabitants, it's thought that the Powder Gangers got the place up and running when they moved in, though it isn't actually explained. The other standout feature from this vault is its colour coordination. Along the corridors of the vault you'll notice either a bluish band or a red band running along the walls. The doors are also clearly labelled red or blue sections. It's apparent almost immediately that Vault 19 was split into red and blue counterparts. The doors between the two parts are locked, and they even each have their own overseer office, but also have a common ground such as the clinic and cafeteria. There are multiple logs scattered throughout the vault on several terminals, and a bunch of text logs in the clinic that gives a small insight into what the vault's purpose was. To try and make sense of it all, we'll start with one of the Overseer's terminals. The data has been partly corrupted, but here's what we can read.
Fake medical records. Paranoia must be induced through non-violent and non-chemical means in order for the experiment to be considered a success. A group of technicians have been assigned to run the reactor. They are currently researching methods to improve the reactor efficiently. The reactor floor is fully staffed and completely self-sustained. The only access between the vault proper and the reactor level is through the elevator hidden under the desk in this room. Currently, the password to open the passage is Hyacinth. Please change this password as not being informed of the research being undertaken in the lower levels.
This is likely to be a vault-tec message directed at the Overseer or passed on from a previous Overseer. It's rare we find such evidence so early, but it seems that indirect paranoia is part of some experiment inside this vault. We also learn of a reactor below the vault instead of near the entrance as we usually find. Again, the reasons for keeping this in a separate area to the residents and having it be self-sufficient isn't entirely known, but there are popular theories I'll get to later. Inside the clinic we can find several patient logs. These logs detail several different patients that are mentally ill in some way. They don't have names but instead codes with an age and gender. The issues are also extremely vague. Patients that experience panic attacks, hear noises and get the feeling they are being patronized. It's my belief that these logs are actually the fake medical records mentioned in the Overseer's terminal. They may be legit, but it makes more sense that they are false, which I'll explain shortly. When venturing into the blue sector, the first floor terminals, around 10 logs can be found, but to keep the video short, I'll mention one series of logs in particular from here. Logs 479 to 484 detail one resident's experience with growing paranoia.
I don't trust that doctor. She has bodyguards. What kind of doctor has bodyguards?
Nothing here after all.
I've seen the guards bringing her meals. I don't think she ever leaves her office. There's always one posted outside at night too. I wonder what she's hiding. I've been working with a friend. He's been trying to hack into the doc's computer, and so far, we haven't had much luck. It took some convincing, but I finally got him to show me what he found on the doc's computer. He was right. I wouldn't like it. The patient files looked like those from an asylum. The patient names were all in code, but some of them seemed to fit the people around us. But they can't be us. I don't remember being insane. I think I would remember something like that. But it must be true. It explains the doctor's behavior and the bodyguards. I don't know why I can't remember. It must be that doctor. Maybe she's drugging us. I need to get into that office. Maybe I am insane. Maybe this isn't happening. Maybe the war never happened, and maybe I'm just trapped in my head. It took some doing, but a few of us got together and managed to distract the people in the clinic long enough for me to get in and do some looking around. I found restraints and enough sedatives to kill a horse. She must be using them to control us, to make us forget. We're just pawns in her sick game. We confronted the doctor today. She refused to give us any information, and we were thrown out of the clinic, some of us quite literally. We tried talking to the overseer, but acted as if he didn't know anything about it. I don't believe him. I don't trust him. I don't trust any of them.
These logs deal with what I mentioned before, the fake medical records. If the goal of this vault was to make people paranoid, then having fake medical records on the clinic computer seemed to have done the trick. This particular person was already paranoid something was going on, but became increasingly so when they learned about their other patients. I also can't find any other evidence to support other medical records, and these records were so vague that they could match almost anyone with previous mental illness. To me at least, it seems that they were fake records intended to add to the growing paranoia, but the information is inconclusive. Inside the red sector quarters, logs 45 and 46 lead on from the clinic episode.
Some of the blues caused some trouble in the clinic today. I bet they were stealing drugs. I've heard the vents coming on late at night. Others have too. And I bet they are using the drugs to poison us, stealing supplies from the clinic and using them to kill us all. No, I know the truth. The commotion at the clinic. It was a trick. The doctor must be giving them the drugs. She must be in on it. She never leaves her office. It must be because of the poison being pumped through the vents. Her office must be the only one that is safe.
There are more and more logs like this, some going crazy over flickering lights, vents turning on at night, hearing voices in the intercom and through the vents, messages on notice boards, and even finding a lucky blue star bottle cap. What the residents didn't know was that deep underground was the reactor level, and the voices were probably coming from the maintenance workers down there. The vents came on at night probably because that's what vents do, and the blue star bottle cap was just a rare cap of sunset sarsaparilla. Basically everything had an explanation, and yet the vault dwellers delved further into paranoia. One last interesting log is from beneath the vault in the reactor area, seemingly from a maintenance worker.
The others keep telling me not to worry, but I feel it sometimes. I think there's something in here with us. I can always hear weird noises coming from above my room.
Remember, the workers down here were self-sufficient. The overseers, cafeteria, doctors, and maintenance crew didn't interact very long or sleep with the residents of the blue and red sector. They were intentionally segregated and left alone, with very minimal contact with one another. In another twist of fate, it turns out that Vault 19 was built right next to sulfur pits underground. The vault even connects into them, and has a ladder that leads to the Mojave Wasteland. They have no cafeteria or living quarters, so it's possible the workers came and went from the wasteland to perform their duties. The cave networks now harbour fire geckos and night crawlers, horrible mutated animals. This can explain some of the noises the worker heard, and eventually they probably attacked, causing the maintenance crew to abandon their posts. In turn, this led to the abandonment of the vault, leaving the experiment inconclusive. It really is tough because there just isn't that much information to go by, With Vault 19, you really have to piece together what makes the most sense visually and practically to get an understanding of why the dwellers left. There was no sign of a struggle, no blood or no bones. Some of the theories suggest that Vault 19 was built solely to house mentally ill patients, and the experiments were to induce paranoia among them. But I can't find a reason why, or if the patients were ill or after before being segregated for so long. Either way, they did become very paranoid, but it didn't lead to much more than that. Eventually we see the fire geckos broke through into the vault and now reside in a part of it. I'd honestly love to hear your theories, and if I get more information I may do a part 2 on this vault, correcting any mistakes I may have made. But I took my time to watch a lot of theories and go through the files thoroughly, and I feel I presented a plausible theory as to what happened here. That's all for Vault 19. Join me next time as we uncover the mystery behind Vault 21.